Welcome dear students to the chapter of beta decay. In the last 5 lectures we have just seen alpha decay in detail. We'll be doing a similar exercise with beta decay. Unfortunately, the theory which was applicable for alpha decay is not going to be directly applicable for beta decay. I'll be talking about this particular point later on in my lecture. So there's a whole new set of problems, whole new set of theories to be studied, and the alpha problem and the beta problems are different and the solutions are also different. So we'll just look into it, and before we go into the details of the problems, let's understand what is a beta decay. This image captures it. This is the nucleus. The nucleus here emits electron, and beta particles are nothing but electrons. We'll see how many types of beta emissions are there. So here you have the neutron getting converted to proton, the emission of electron and electron antineutrino. Okay, we'll see much in detail later on what is neutrino. So you can see there are 3 types of beta decay here. One is the emission of electrons, which is called beta minus emission. Another is, in the beta minus emission, your neutron getting converted into proton. Please understand, in all this beta decay, A remains same. Okay, remains same. So A does not change in beta emission, so it's only neutron getting converted into proton. So that's the neutron number and the proton number changes, but the total of N and P, which is A, it remains same, not beta emission. Okay, in beta plus emission, which is positron emission, which is antiparticle of electron, you can see that this is E minus and this is E plus. In beta plus emission, instead of electron, positrons are emitted and proton gets converted into neutron here, and the difference here is, here there is anti-neutrino which is emitted, here it is neutrino which is emitted. This is beta plus emission. And there's a third type of beta decay. It also qualifies as a beta decay, where the proton captures the electron from the innermost shell and then gets converted into neutron and with the emission of neutrino. These electrons are, this is the nucleus, this is nucleus, and if electron is somewhere here orbiting around the nucleus, then the chances are that it can be captured by the field of the nucleus, and the proton can get converted into neutron. Electron capture and beta plus decay, the net result is the same, and we'll see this because you can see that this positron, if it comes on this side, then its sign changes to E minus. Okay, so this equation can be rewritten in this form. So this is an electron capture. The net product daughter is the same. Please understand this. The daughter is going to be the same in beta plus and electron capture. In both these processes, the Z decreases by 1 unit because proton is getting converted into neutron. There is one reduction in proton. So here Z becomes Z minus 1, and here neutron is getting converted into proton, so the daughter's Z will increase by 1 unit. So in this process, Z increases by 1 unit, in this Z decreases by 1 unit, this also it decreases by 1 unit. So in result, in equations 2 and 3, the daughter is the same, while in equation 1, the daughter is different from the rest of the two. So let's take a beta emission and calculate the Q for a beta emission. Okay, here you can see parent is ZXA. It decays into daughter. You can note here the daughter Z is increasing to Z plus 1. A remains the same, electron is emitted. The total charge remains the same on both sides. You can see this. This is Z plus 1. The charge of electron is minus 1. So Z plus 1 minus 1 becomes Z. Okay, so both sides, the charge has to be balanced on both sides. Okay, now let us look into the Q equation. You know what is a Q equation? Q equation is nothing but the total mass. It is the initial mass. Q is nothing but, I think all of you have seen this alpha decay also, is equal to nothing but delta M into C square. Okay, right. So this is nothing but delta M into C square. So I have to move. This is equal to, okay, this is equal to delta M is the initial mass minus the final mass. Please understand that. It's not final minus initial, but initial minus final. The initial mass, and this mass is nuclear mass. Please understand this. Actually, we write atomic mass because atomic mass can be written instead of nuclear mass if number of electrons are same on both sides. But if the number of electrons are not going to be same, because in beta emission there is an emission of electrons and the number of electrons is not going to be the same. So you have to be very careful while in a beta decay processes. You should not consider the atomic mass, but you should consider the, if you consider the atomic mass, then you will have to subtract the number of electrons on both sides. So please pay attention. Here delta M C square, delta M is the initial nuclear mass minus final nuclear mass. So if you are talking about ZXA being the parent, then the mass, this is the atomic mass MZA, and I am subtracting the electron mass minus ZME. So that will give me the nuclear mass in this case. We were not doing this earlier because number of electrons was same on both sides. So whether you take nuclear mass or atomic mass, the result is going to be the same. Here in this case you can see that there is an electron emission. So I am little careful while writing the mass. So this is the atomic mass minus, remove the mass of electrons, so that will become the nuclear mass of X. Similarly, I subtract the atomic mass, this is the atomic mass of daughter, and I subtract the number of electrons. If there are Z plus 1 number of protons, there are going to be Z plus 1 number of electrons, because atom is always going to be neutral. So this is Z plus 1 Me which has been subtracted, plus this is that extra electron, so I have written plus Me. So if I just rearrange the terms, I get MZA minus MZ plus 1 AC square. This is my equation for Q beta minus. Please remember this equation. I will be using this later on. Now this is a beta plus process. In a beta plus process, what happens, as I said earlier, Z changes to Z minus 1. There's a decrease of Z by 1 unit because this is positive charge. So Z minus 1 plus 1 charge of positron is going to give me Z, which is the charge of planet. So both sides the charge is going to be balanced. Okay. Now let me calculate the Q. Q is again initial mass minus final mass, and the initial mass, nuclear mass is MZA, so there is Z minus ZME, Z is the number of electrons, minus and Z minus 1A, so again I have to subtract Z minus 1 number of electrons, and plus Me is the mass of positron. The mass of positron and electron is the same. The charge is different but the mass is same, so this I have written as plus M. So if I rearrange this, I get Q plus beta plus is equal to this initial mass minus final mass minus 2me. Please pay attention here. This is an extra term which is coming. Okay, minus 2m. Now let's look into the electron capture. In electron capture, what happens? Z again changes to Z minus 1. As I said, the daughter in case of electron capture and positron emission is the same. So this is Z minus 1. It is electron has now got shifted on the left hand side because it is captured by the parent nucleus and getting converted into daughter. So if you do a similar exercise, and here again what I have done is I have taken mass of ZXA, which is MZA. This is the atomic mass. I will have to subtract the electron mass, and plus I will have to add the mass of electron here. Same thing I do with the daughter, and then when I rearrange the terms, I get this equation. I want you to pay attention to this. This is just the difference between initial mass, the parent and the daughter, while in the earlier case it is the difference of the parent, daughter and minus 2me. So what happens now is I want you to focus on this equation, which is the difference between the parent and the daughter, and this is the difference between parent and the daughter and minus 2me. So now the question is, if the daughter is same, there are two questions here arising. Which is the route which the nucleus will prefer? Will it prefer a positron emission, or will it prefer a electron capture? So the question is, which one will it prefer? This is the electron capture, where there is no positron emission, while here there is a positron emission. But the important thing here is that the daughter is the same. Can you see this here? A Z minus 1 Y, here is the daughter, and here also you can see that the daughter is the same. A the atomic number Z minus 1 Y. The daughter is the same. So whether it goes via the electron capture route or whether it goes via the beta plus emission route, the daughter is the same. So the question is, which is the route followed by the nucleus? Right. So here the answer lies here. The difference between parent mass and the daughter mass has to be greater than 2me. It has to be greater than the delta m has to be greater than 2me. Right. If it is greater than 2me, then this is energetically possible, because you know it's all exothermic reaction. So exothermic reaction, there is no projectile here, it happens on its own. So it's an exothermic reaction here. So exothermic reactions, you know that the Q is always positive. So for Q to be positive, the difference in the parent and the daughter mass has to be greater than 2me. While in the case of electron capture, there is no such restriction. The difference has to be not greater than 2me. It is just the initial mass minus the final mass, obviously, which is always positive because it's an exothermic nuclear reaction. So if this difference is greater than 2me, then there are two possibilities. Either it can decay via the electron capture route, this is also possible, or this is also possible. So there are two possibilities. So it depends on which is more favorable. The atom will choose that particular route. Energetically, whichever is favorable, it will choose that particular route. But if the energy is less than 2me, delta n is less than 2me, then dear students, it is only this reaction, electron capture, is only a possibility if it is getting converted into a daughter. If this mass minus this mass is less than 2me, then only this is possible, electron capture. Right. You can see this here in electron capture. The parent captures an electron. Now this electron is not coming from outside, it is within the nucleus, and this electron is part of the atom carbon 11, but it is outside the nucleus, but this can be captured by the parent nucleus. In that case, you can see that carbon 11 is converted into boron 11, and you can see that proton is getting converted, is reduced. Here it is number 6 and this is number 5. Obviously, since A is same, this 5 has now become 6, and neutrino is emitted in this process. This is an image of beta minus emission, where this parent emits beta particle. You can see this beta particle and gets converted into nitrogen 14. Beta means here proton gets increased. You can see that 6 is becoming 7. Obviously, since proton is increasing, neutron is decreasing. So here it's nothing but a conversion of neutron into proton. One neutron is getting converted into proton here, and obviously it is emitted, and it goes without saying that there is a antineutrino which is also emitted. Okay. Now there is a beta plus decay. In a beta plus decay, as I had said, you can see that carbon 10 is getting converted into boron 10. In the process, positron is emitted. Here Z will decrease. You can see that 6 is getting changed to 5. If Z is decreasing, N has to increase from 4 to 5. Okay. Now we will see the energy spectrum, just as we saw the energy spectrum of alpha particle. We are seeing the spectrum of alpha particles, where the alpha particles are emitted in certain groups. We are saying it could be 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, like that. And this kinetic energy is very, very closer to Q. And I show the image of the alpha spectrum. You can see that this image, you can see the spread here. This is the spread of alpha particles. Different alpha particles are emitted into different groups, and these groups have got energy which are around Q. So for polonium 210, polonium 219, plutonium, and Am 241. So you can see that this is the alpha spectrum. This is energy keV, and this is the intensity. Intensity is a number. Okay. So this is how you get alpha spectrum. Now what is expected is the beta spectrum should also look like this, where the alpha particles are emitted in certain groups. The beta particle should also be emitted in certain groups, and you should get a spectrum like this. But dear students, the spectrum is different, and this is where the headache is. You can see that the spectrum is not like this, but it is a continuous spectrum. I want you to pay attention to this. This is continuous. This is something which is not understood. And my dear students, this value of E here is equal to actually your Q. Again, let me go back to this slide. This is your Q. This is your Q. Q of the nuclear reaction in which alpha emission takes place. So the kinetic energy is more or less equal to Q. While here, this is where the Q is. This is where the Q is. And you can see that the energy of the particle could be anywhere spreading from this extreme here. This is the maximum value of energy. And mind you, it can also be 0. So the energy of the alpha, of the beta particle, okay, beta particle can vary anywhere between 0 up to nearly Q, up to Q. This is very different from alpha emission. In alpha emission, it's almost like Q, and it is understandable. This change of state, we had seen that, and it was getting value closer to Q is understandable. And it's, of course, it's not going to be exactly Q, it's going to be less than Q, because it not only lands in the ground state, but it lands in some energy levels, higher excited states of the daughter, and plus there is a recoil of the daughter. So if you consider all this, it's not going to be exactly Q, it's going to be slightly less than Q, but it is going to be closer to. But to imagine to have energy which is also zero, and this you can see the peak here, this is the peak, this is where the intensity is maximum. So this is where it is. About 1/3 of the particle, maximum energy, you can see that this is the maximum energy. Maximum energy is 1/3, of Emax. One third of max. So you can see that the large number of beta particles, because you can see that the intensity is maximum here. Large number of beta particles have energy which are 1/3 of Emax, and the range varies from 0 to Q. Now this is a continuous distribution of beta particles, and which has not been understood, which you can't explain using Fermi's beta decay theory. First of all, the Gamow theory. The Gamow theory is not applicable to electron dear students, because remember we had something like, let me go back to your previous, we had a graph like this, potential barrier, this is something, this graph, we had seen something like this. Now for this electron, the tunneling probability is maximum because the mass of electron is, remember the tunneling probability was dependent on 3 factors: mass, the difference between the potential height and the energy, and the width of the barrier. But since the mass is almost negligible, the tunneling probability is not existing for electron. So electrons can tunnel through, and alpha particles, unlike alpha particles, which has got a problem in tunneling. Right. So let's see. These are all some of the difficulties in the beta emission. We will see in the next lecture. Okay, you can see that the other thing which has to be noticed here. The other thing which has to be noticed is, you can see this, that the beta minus curve is shifted towards the left, the peak is shifted towards the left, and the beta plus curve, the peak is shifted towards the right. You can see this. The reason is simple, that beta plus particles are positively charged, so they get a repulsion from the nucleus, because nucleus is also positively charged. So when it is created, it gets an additional thrust. So that's why the peak is shifted here. While in case of beta minus emission, electrons are negatively charged. So moment they are created, they are initially attracted towards the nucleus, and the electrons have to overcome the clutches, the Coulombian attraction of the nucleus, to be set free. So that's why the peaks are different. Okay, now this is a typical beta curve energy spectrum. You can see that this is the intensity. This also could be number of electrons. number of electrons or intensity. This is the energy. You can see that the energy varies from 0 somewhere around 1. Okay, dear students, here, so the beta energy, this has to be understood. The difference here is beta energy varies anywhere between 0 to around 1 MeV. In the beta particle, the energy is around, it cannot be more than 1 MeV, which is normally the Q. So it could be 0.3, 0.4, 0.6, something like that. So it could be as low as 0, it could be as high as 1, or it could be 1.1, 1.2, it could be around 1. While in an alpha particle, remember that the energy of the emitted alpha particle was varying between 4 MeV to 10 MeV. That was the range. This is the positron emission. And now this graph also tells you the same thing. This is expected. We want all of them to have energy closer to Q, but it's not the case. It has energy varying from 0 up to Q. This is a big puzzle which troubled scientists when the beta decay problem was discovered, or people understood this. There were different theories. What people thought is, I'll tell you some of the theories which were proposed to explain the reduction in energy as compared to closer to Q. Now they said that the energy is not equal to Q but less than Q by a considerable amount. So the difference between Q and the kinetic energy of beta particle is actually carried by photons, gamma rays. They said that the gamma ray is also emitted. The gamma rays are taking this additional energy, but in the experiment which was carried out, they could not detect any gamma rays. So the gamma ray carrying away the missing energy was ruled out. Now it cannot be some other particle, because then if you have some other particle, then the mass will come into the play. The lightest neutral particle known as photon, that is gamma rays. If gamma ray is carrying the remaining energy, experimental evidences through calorific calorie experiment, where you put the sample in water, and when the beta emission takes place, the temperature of the water increases, and by that you come to know whether the photons are emitting energy or not. But there was no change in temperature of water, and there was no trace of detection of gamma rays even through scintillation counters. The gamma rays carrying the missing energy was ruled out. Then they said, okay, then what could be happening is the electrons are emitted, and this electron energy is passed on to the atomic electrons. Now since they are passed on to the atomic electrons, the emitted electrons energy is reduced. But then if the electrons are carrying this, absorbing this energy of the beta particles, then what could happen is they could get excited and emit photons, or they could be ionized, but there was nothing like that which was observed. So there was a lot of attempt. I'm talking about 1930s. This is a period after the alpha decay problem was solved, to explain why there is a big difference between the Q of a nuclear reaction involving beta particles and the energy carried by the beta particle. Now how do you account for this? Because conservation law of energy is very, very sacred. So if you have a reaction like this, the example, okay, let me go back, any reaction, you can see that this, now if you have a Q, then the Q is shared between here, you can, okay, let me just take any of this reaction here. Now if you have this reaction, then the Q is shared between the daughter and the beta particle. So the kinetic energy of the daughter and the beta particle together should be equal to Q. But what is observed is this is very heavy, so this hardly carries any energy. So most of the energy, this being the lighter particle, should have energy closer to Q. But why is that this energy of beta particle is not equal to Q, but there's a big gap between this and this, and that was a mystery which people try to explain using emission of photons and energy being observed by the atomic electrons, which failed. And we'll see maybe in subsequent lectures, maybe after 2 lectures or so, to explain. This is one of the biggest problems solved in nuclear physics, to explain the continuous nature of beta spectrum. And Fermi, the great Fermi, solved this problem. He got a Nobel Prize for this. And most of the lectures which you are going to be studying in nuclear physics have won Nobel Prizes. So in that sense, you can be happy that you know the physics of some of the pressing nuclear physics problem which existed in 20s, 30s and 40s. Nuclear physics was the hot research area and a lot of action was happening. Remember the atom bomb, nuclear reactor, a lot of things were opening up in the field of nuclear physics. Right, so dear students, let me sum up. This is the alpha spectrum. I just explained this alpha spectrum. The alpha spectrum, you can see that the daughter could be, you can see this alpha energy 5.42, 5.34, 5.21, 5.17, 5.14, and you have the gamma rays taking the missing, the remaining energies. But they're all, you can see that all these energies, they are closer to Q. If you calculate the Q of this reaction, thorium getting converted to them, they are closer to Q. But in the beta decay, it is not. And you can see that there is a gamma emission here. Can you see this gamma emission here? So the gamma emission is always accompanying the alpha emission, but the gamma emission is not observed. It's not observed for beta emission, right? So it's not observed with beta. Okay. So this is how the beta emission becomes very different from alpha emission. Let me summarize how they are different. One is there is no potential barrier for beta particles. There is a potential barrier for alpha particles. Then you have, there's only a question of tunneling probability in case of beta emission. There's no tunneling probability. The moment the electrons are produced, beta particles are produced, it's able to come out of the nucleus. So there is no tunneling probability. In alpha emission, it is assumed that the alpha particle is created much before it is tunneling through. While beta emission, it is emitted at the time of its creation. It is created and it gets out of the parent nucleus to get converted into a daughter nucleus. The basic differences here, the spectrums are different. In alpha spectrum, you have group of alpha particles which is closer to the Q, having energies which are closer to Q. But here in beta particles, you can have energy starting from 0 and it can go as high as the value of Q on that particular nuclear reaction. So it's a continuous spectrum. And beta emissions are of 3 types. Beta minus emission. Okay, you have seen that. Beta minus emission, electron capture, beta plus emission. So basically there are 3 types of decay: beta minus, beta plus and electron capture. The Q of all those 3 are different. So we have derived the value of Q. Q for this Q is the initial mass minus the final mass. This is initial final minus 2 me comes in, and here it is mza minus mz minus 1. I'll be giving you numericals based on this formula in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.